What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. And guys, look, we're already over a week into the Criterion 50% off Barnes & Noble sale for the month of November 2024. That's always a mouthful, guys. We only have 2 of these a year, okay? We got them in July and we got them in November. And I realized I haven't done my obligatory Criterion recommendation video. Of course, I'm a YouTube channel that talks about Blu-rays and 4Ks and physical media. It's like, I got to do it. Like, everybody does it. Like, we got to do these Criterion recommendation videos. It just feels like at this point, I'm just talking about the same titles like over and over again. Now, I did throw in, I feel like, a couple of new ones. But I'll be honest, like, I'm not the biggest Criterion guy. I feel like at one point, like a few years ago, like when I first started getting like hot and heavy into boutique labels and the Barnes & Noble sales, and I was scooping up a lot of them, I aspired to be a Criterion guy. But the further I got into it, I don't know, it's just I like my special edition packaging that some of the other labels offer. And the packaging that Criterion offers, like, I like some of the digipacks, and I'll certainly be showing some of those off. So, I mean, they do have some nice packaging, but they're not the packaging boutique labels. So the appeal, and to be honest, like, at this point, like, I hate to say this for the Criterion fans out there, but they're kind of falling behind on not only their transfers and what they add as far as like HDR and Dolby Vision, but special features. Like, I find Criterion releases to be extremely lacking in special features lately than they were, at least like 5-10 years ago for sure. But like compared to some of the other boutique labels that are doing special features now, like Arrow Video, Scream Factory, even, well, they're kind of on par with Scream Factory, to be honest, unless they're porting over their pre-existing features. But like Arrow Video, Vinegar Syndrome, Synops Films, like a lot of the other boutique labels are blowing them out of the water in terms of special features for some of their new titles. So I do think that that's something to be noted as well. And I just don't pick up Criterion's a whole lot on release day because we do have these sales and I just wait for the sale. So they're not titles that I get excited to pick up like when they actually release, unless it's just something huge that I got to get. So it's just a label that doesn't do it for me like it used to for sure, but like some of the other labels do at this point. But the ones that I'm going to talk about in today's video, they do it for me. And these are some of the best films in my collection, period. Some of the best transfers and some of the best additions that I have in my collection. If you're going to get 11 Criterion titles, these are the ones to get, okay? This Criterion sale. If you don't have any of these, you got to get them in your collection. But before we get into it, guys, like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to throw out some recommendations to me, leave those in the comment section below. I would be more than happy to hear them. So let's go ahead and get into it, guys. We're going to start with a banger. This is a certified banger. Watch this film for the first time, I think a year and a half ago by now, but this is Brian De Palma's Blowout on 4K. And first off, the 4K here is astonishing. It really is an excellent 4K. It's one of the best 4Ks that I've seen Criterion do. I love this 4K, but this is such a cool, like, unique movie. And John Travolta, like, the more I see of like his earlier stuff, like, I think that John Travolta is just one of those actors that he just transitioned like so well from like the younger actor. He definitely did like his more interesting work like in the 70s and the 80s. Transition into the 90s, and he kind of just became an action star, and he was great at that as well. And then he was in Pulp Fiction, and he was great at that as well. But he got the role for Pulp Fiction, and this is a story that's been around. I'm not breaking news or anything, but he got the role for Pulp Fiction because Quentin Tarantino loved the movie Blowout so much, and he cast John Travolta based on this movie. Basically, what he does is he's catching sounds, like real life sounds, to put in movies. So he's out in the park and he's recording stuff just like nature sounds, owls and birds and stuff like that, sounds of the nature at night. And there's a political assassination while he's recording, so he becomes kind of a witness to this. And there's another witness that he kind of gets roped in with, and there's other conspiracies and stuff that's going on, so they got to try to figure out how to get out of that. It's a really nail-biting thriller that is just so freaking awesome because Brian De Palma is just one of the best directors. And I love the movie. I love the style of the movie. The way that it uses sound like throughout is very creative and unique. So I love Blowout. I think it is one of the absolute best in the Criterion collection, and you need to have it in your collection. Now, the next movie I'm going to talk about is a 4K that actually came out this year. So this is a new to 4K title. I think it came out in June, but that is Bound, and this is directed by the Wachowskis, and who directed The Matrix. But like, this was a really cool movie that I did not expect to be like as good as it is. Like, on the cover right there, guys, you know, they're really selling it, the lesbian love affair between Gina Gershon and Jennifer Tilly. Like, I feel like that was the big like selling point to this movie, but the movie's like really a lot more than that. Yeah, there's a relationship between the two of them, but Gina Gershon, like, she's the maintenance worker, and she gets roped into this plot with Jennifer Tilly because she wants to kill her husband. Her husband works with the mob, and it's this whole like thing that just keeps escalating and escalating. And it is really a thrilling movie. Like, I was on the edge of my seat by the time you get to the last 30 minutes. I'm like, how? Because they just keep digging the hole like deeper and deeper. And you're like, how the hell are these two girls going to get out of this? But I really enjoy this movie a lot. And Jennifer Tilly's husband, who's in with the mob, is the captain from the Bad Boys movies. And I haven't really seen him in a whole lot of other stuff, but he was fantastic in this movie. So I got to give him credit for that. And this 4K is excellent. This actually has some really good special features as well. So I highly recommend Bound on 4K. That is a really good one. And we're going to go back to some more classic cinema here with Mildred Pierce. Really awesome film noir led by Joan Crawford, who I would say this movie has like maybe one of the best villain performances of all time. Like, her daughter is freaking nasty in this film. And definitely one of the most unlikable characters I've ever seen in a movie for sure. But this is just a really cool noir film, you know, with a lot of layers to the mystery that just keep unraveling. And it's a really cool movie. Black and white movie from back in I think this one's 1943. 1945. And it's directed by Michael Curtiz, who's done so many great films. So definitely recommend Mildred Pierce. And this is black and white, like I said, and the 4K looks spectacular. So definitely recommend Mildred Pierce on 4K. Menace to Society, really awesome addition. And look, the 4K looked great, and this movie is great. It's one of the best movies of the 90s. But like, this is kind of a package recommendation, because I think this is one of the best package releases from Criterion Collection, if I'm being honest. So I love the 2 right there, and I love how you take it out. I love the red. It's just freaking awesome. It is a great package. And the cool thing about Criterion is they never like make dumbed down editions of their digipacks, or at least maybe they have, but like, I don't see it too often. Like, most of the time they do a digipack, like I see those for years. Like, they never sell out. So that's the other thing about Criterion. I don't feel like they're limited, and I got to jump on them right away, which some people, like, that would be a big positive for sure. And I would definitely understand that. But I just think this is a beautiful, like, gorgeous digipack edition. The 4K spectacular. There's some great special features in this release as well. And like I said, one of the best movies of the 90s, like Menace to Society, I can't talk ever, just freaking blew me away. I was floored by the time I got to the end of this movie. Love Menace to Society. Great film. Next movie that I'm going to bring up is, and I got a couple of Martin Scorsese movies in the stack because, look, let's face it, guys, his movies are must-own in most cases. But Raging Bull is it. I feel like this one is in contention with Taxi Driver for my favorite Martin Scorsese film. It's like, if I watch Taxi Driver, I'm like, that's my favorite. If I watch Raging Bull, I'm like, that's my favorite. And I watched Raging Bull last, so this one's kind of my favorite right now. But I love this movie. This is so freaking awesome. I call this movie the anti-Rocky. But you got Robert De Niro as Jake LaMotta, and him and Joe Pesci in this movie. I know they've done some great stuff together in Goodfellas and Casino, but I think this is their best on-screen pairing of any collaboration they've done with Martin Scorsese. I am always floored by their performances in this film, and I just think they have the best like on-screen chemistry in this movie. So Raging Bull is a stunning film, and Robert De Niro is so incredibly unlikable in this movie for sure, but it's so just like masterfully directed. And I don't know, this movie just, it just hits me every time I watch it. No pun intended, it's a boxing movie, but Raging Bull is fantastic, and the 4K, oh my God, spectacular. Black and white film, 1980. It was a stylistic choice. Of course, it didn't have to be black and white by 1980, but Martin Scorsese made it that way. But it looks excellent on 4K. My God, I was blown away by the picture quality of that one. And next up, we're going to go a little bit lighter than Raging Bull. This is from 1982. And I think this might be the only Blu-ray I pulled over here, but Fast Times at Ridgemont High is a must own. And I remember watching this back in the day, back when I was like 12, 13. I couldn't get into Fast Times when I was younger. I don't know, there was something about it. I didn't think it was that funny. And I see why like I didn't gravitate towards it as a kid, because there's some really like serious moments and themes in this film, with comedy throughout as well. But I don't know, like maybe I just didn't resonate with all this stuff when I was a kid. But I rewatched this one with the Criterion for probably the first time in like 15 years, a few years ago when this Criterion came out. And I was like, damn, like that is just one of the best teen movies of all time. One of the best movies of the 80s. I love Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and the soundtrack is just fantastic. It perfectly sets the mood, sets the vibe, and it's just such a great movie with some great performances by Phoebe Cates and Jennifer Jason Leigh, and the entire cast. Sean Penn is Spagoli. The entire cast is spectacular. The pool scene where Phoebe Cates gets out, damn, my goodness, did that look good with the Criterion Blu-ray right here with the 4K scan? Because this is a 4K scan, and this is one that, if they do a 4K, I was so happy with this Blu-ray with the 4K scan. Like, I thought it looked great. I don't know if I'll get that 4K, to be honest. Like, maybe I will at some point, but I don't know. I'm really happy with this Blu-ray. I like the artwork on here as well. There were some really good features on here also with the screenwriter Cameron Crowe and the director Amy Heckerling. I think they did like some kind of like, because it was back during the pandemic days, and they did some kind of like Zoom call, but it was a really good conversation between them, just kind of reflecting on the film. So that's a really good special feature for this release. But Fast Times at Ridgemont High is a must own. Now let's jump into this one, guys, and this is a big one. Like, this was a moment in time, a moment for the Criterion Collection. When this was announced, like, people flipped out because they didn't know what it meant. So I have to bring this one up because it's such a monumental release for the Criterion Collection. But WallE, like, this was a spectacular release. There's all kinds of great features here. So this is the first and only, at this point in time, collaboration between Pixar, Disney, and the Criterion Collection. And I think it's kind of a match made in heaven. And I want to see more Pixar films on the Criterion Collection. But this 4K, I did not have WallE on 4K from Disney, but like this 4K is, my God, like WallE's the perfect film, like animated movie to view in 4K. And it looked so good. Like that opening, like 45 minutes and like the Earth wasteland, like it looks so mind-blowingly good. So WallE on 4K, I can't recommend it enough, and it's definitely really awesome packaging right here with the WallE 4K with some great artwork on the inside. Like I said, a lot of good new special features as well. And I'm not even like the biggest WallE fan in the world. I know some people out there might hurt me because of that, but it's not it wouldn't be in my top 5 or top 10 Pixar. I think there'd be a lot that would go above it, but I still like the movie a lot, and in 4K, like, I could definitely appreciate this film. So yeah, I had to bring this one up just because of that, because a lot of people, they love WallE, and I think that's worth having in your collection for sure. This one came out, did this one come out the same year as WallE, or was it the year before? I think this one actually might have been 2021, but I gotta talk about my boy Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems. So I think this is the only Criterion I have in my collection that I saw in the theaters, because I didn't see WallE in the theaters. So Uncut Gems was such an experience in the theaters. Like, my wife and I saw this. I remember like the day, like it was the day after Christmas. And we went to see this movie because we both love Adam Sandler, but I knew it was going to be a different kind of Adam Sandler movie because it's directed by the same people that did Good Time, which I would love for that to get a Criterion 4K. At some point, but I knew this movie was going to be pretty intense, but I really had no idea just how intense it would be. I was like a mess watching this film in the theaters. Like, the anxiety level that this induces in you is just very extreme towards the end of it, but it is so good. I love this movie so much. I think Adam is so fantastic in this film, and I definitely think I think this was like the second or my third favorite film of 2019. And that was a banging year for sure. But Uncut Gems is awesome, and I think that this is kind of unique, just like WallE with Pixar and Criterion Collection. This is the only time that A24 has collaborated with the Criterion Collection, which I would definitely like to see more of as well. But this is a stunning edition. The 4K looks great. There's great features here. But you take this out, and you got the freaking, Diamond Owl on the digipack, which is freaking awesome. And it's even got like a jewelry catalog on the inside. KMH Gems and Jewelry. So yeah, I need to rewatch this one. It's been since the Criterion came out, but I remember I bought it on Blu-ray when it came out, and I probably watched it like 2 or 3 times. I just love this movie so much. So Uncut Gems is a fantastic movie and release from the Criterion Collection, a more modern film that they put out that I definitely highly recommend you add to the collection. Next up, guys, this is definitely a must-own. This movie's great. Ridley Scott movie. But this 4K, I think it was my number 3 or number 4 of 2023. I was blown away by the 4K. I thought it was so great. But Thelma and Louise is fantastic. First, it was a first-time watch for this movie for me. I'd never seen it before, and I loved the movie. Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis were so good together in this film, but the 4K is really what sold me on it. Really blew me away. It's got some really great features. It's a nice digipack as well, with some great scenery on it, and I loved it. Wasn't there a new? See, there was 2 audio commentaries here, but I want to say there was a documentary on here. New interviews. Yes, there's a new interview with Ridley Scott on this. I wanted to say it was the director that did the interview, but I wasn't 100%. But this is a great... I don't know why I'm having so much damn trouble getting this in here. This is a really great release, so highly recommend Thelma and Louise. Add that one to the collection. And next, we're going to get into some more Martin Scorsese with After Hours. This was a trip of a freaking movie. It really was. I can't even say, because the ending gets so weird that I can't say that I completely love the movie, but it's definitely worth watching. And it's one of the more interesting Scorsese films because he hasn't really made a lot of movies quite like this one. And I really like it. Griffin Dunn is fantastic in this film, and it's got a great cast. John Hurt's in the movie, Catherine O'Hara, so it has the parents from Home Alone, which I thought was pretty cool. It came out the year I was born, 1985, and the movie's kind of notorious for being Martin Scorsese's comeback in a way. He was kind of down and out because Raging Bull and King of Comedy didn't exactly blow it up at the box office, so people were kind of doubting his box office draw at that point as a director. So he kind of just scaled it down a little bit and did this smaller independent comedy in 1985, and I think it paid off. It helped him re-find himself as a director. Then he went on to do greater things after this, but this is a really cool, just kind of awkward, weird, dark comedy with some really fun moments in it, and I really enjoyed it. After Hours is great. The 4K looks spectacular as well, so definitely recommend that. And I think this has a new conversation with Martin Scorsese and Fran Lebowitz. So you got Martin on here doing a interview as well. And the last one that I want to talk about, guys, this was a first time watch for me this year. I think this one came out on 4K. I want to say 2023 this came out on 4K, but I just watched it this year for the first time, and that is Double Indemnity. And yeah, this one was hyped up for sure, but when I got done watching, I was like, holy shit, that's the template for every noir film, 80s, 90s thriller movie, giallo movie, murder mystery type film. This is where it all came from. This is the beginning. I'm sure somebody can point to something that was before this, but this was 1944, and this kind of felt like the beginning of the femme fatale and the couple teaming up to take out another person, the third party. I don't want to spoil the movie, but it feels like in these types of movies, it's always 3 people. It's a husband and a wife, and then there's a third party, and 2 of them are conspiring with each other to take out the other one. This is where that all started. You know, and like every like 80s, 90s thriller has that kind of thing going on. And that's where it all came from. Like all the thrillers of the 80s, the dark thrillers of the 80s and the 90s, and the 70s as well. Like all that stuff came from Double Indemnity. So it was really cool to like see the origin of that. But removed of all that, like it's just a spectacular film, like on its own. Like it does it better than pretty much all the rest because it is the original. And I thought Barbara Stanwyck was just fantastic in the movie. The movie's directed by Billy Wilder as well, and she plays a great like femme fatale. She is so good in this film. So I love Double Indemnity, and I thought it looked so good on 4K. So there you have it, guys. That's the 11 Criterion titles. Of course, again, I had to do my obligatory Criterion recommendation video. That's the 11 Criterions that I recommend that you pick up in this Barnes & Noble 50% off sale. Definitely hit the like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button. Comment down below whatever you want to comment. Turn on those bell notifications for all future videos, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.